Hello, Coolman229 here with another Topic of the Week video, and this week I'll be discussing live-action Disney remakes. This topic was submitted by Tumblr anon, and their topic is why it's not a good idea for Disney to turn their animated movies into live-action. Simple topic. Now, I do have to say that I don't fully agree with the idea that they should never do these live-action remakes. I mean, I actually rather enjoyed the live-action Cinderella movie. But then you look at stuff like Maleficent and Beauty and the Beast and you start realizing, yeah, this can go bad really easily. Now, when you're making remakes, like just in general, like whatever, from any kind of movie at any time, when you're doing a remake, there has to be a reason for it. You know, sometimes a movie couldn't do everything exactly how it wanted. So a remake lets them sort of, basically fulfill potential that was never quite there. That was never fully capitalized on. Sometimes there are rewrites that that allow the story to be better. Like, I'm going to be honest, I think that the American movie, The Count of Monte Cristo, is my favorite version of the story, and and honestly, I like it a lot better than the Gerard Depardieu miniseries that I watched in French class, because the rewrites that the guy who wrote the movie, made actually improved the story, and a lot of cutting out a lot of the extraneous and the overly complicated stuff makes the story a lot smoother. So when you're doing stuff like that, when you're basically doing stuff, or even like older movies, like stuff in the 80s. Now, sometimes there are some movies that I say should never be remade. You just look at something like Back to the Future, an absolute classic, a trilogy of classic movies. You shouldn't remake those. And there are some movies that shouldn't be touched. Just like, it's fine the way it is. There's nothing that you can really add to it, especially when you come to animated movies, but I'll get to that in a minute. I mean, there's stuff like RoboCop and Total Recall, which could have had potentially great remakes. They weren't great because they were focused on just being action schlock. Sometimes pretentious action schlock. But I mean, there's stuff like that, especially when it comes to like sci-fi stuff, there's a lot of things that couldn't be done in the past, in the 60s, the 70s, the 80s, and even the 90s. That with the technology that we have, with the, what is the decades of experience with CGI and practical effects, it's like with all the experience that we have looking at all this centuries of writing, like we can look at that and we could make something better. You take RoboCop and you see there's a great potential to tell a modern story of that. And you could do something. The problem is that they didn't, and this is why you need people who really, really care about doing stuff. Just like when you get to Rogue One. Like, Rogue One could have easily been a really crappy movie had Gareth Edwards not really cared, and the people writing it had not really cared. So, having established that, talk about animated movies. Now, moving from animated to live action has always been a bit of a painful process, because especially, you look at a lot of animated movies and series, and just animation in general, especially American animation, there's a lot of goofiness. Character designs can be totally disproportionate or cartoonishly unrealistic. And that's kind of the point. I mean, it's animation. You're not restricted by reality. So transitioning from that to a live-action, realistic design can be a bit of a painful process. The more ridiculous this gets, the worse it ends up being when translating to live action. Now, specifically, let's talk about, and since this is asking about Disney movies, let's focus on animated Disney movies. Now, I recently binge watched a lot of great Disney movies, especially from the 90s with Adrian. We watched stuff like Lion King, Hercules, Tarzan, and realizing just, wow, Beauty and the Beast, too, out of spite. And you realize that, wow, these movies are great, and I honestly couldn't say what you would... I don't think you could improve them by making them live action. Specifically, let's take a look at Beauty and the Beast. Beauty and the Beast is already an excellent movie. It's a wonderful movie. And sure, there may be little things here and there that you could change, but does that really justify... Like, do making small, minor changes to improve the movie justify completely remaking it? No, I don't really think so. Look at Tarzan. Tarzan is a fantastic movie. Beautifully animated, beautifully written, wonderful songs. Thank you, Phil Collins. But could you do anything better by making it live action? I mean, even following a similar story, I mean, it's like, okay, if you're just remaking it with the exact same story in the exact same way, then really, what's the point? Just go back and watch the original, who probably did everything better in the first place. Or then you have the unnecessary changes, which, ironically, I would say that Beauty and the Beast hits both of those. On one hand, it's more or less trying to be a carbon copy of the movie. But on the other hand, you have all these pointless and stupid changes, a lot of them forced by Emma Watson, that do nothing to improve the movie, and a lot of this ends up serving to just ruin the movie. You take away the stuff that was special in the first place. Like, people pointed out that in the original, like the animated Beauty and the Beast, Belle and the Beast were the only two characters in the movie to wear blue. An odd detail that I didn't notice for decades until someone pointed it out. And yeah, that's a specific artistic decision to make them stand out together as two of the main characters. Well, that detail was lost in the remake. So you're basically just trying to remake the same thing, doing the same things worse, and changing better things to make them worse, and you end up with an overall worse movie. And of course, what's the point? And then we get to an even worse example with Maleficent, which takes the story of Sleeping Beauty and focuses it all on Maleficent and makes her the protagonist, while going out of its way to make other characters who are good, such as the fairies, to be bad and unlikable. And they give Maleficent this sob story of how, she's not really evil, just misunderstood and a tortured soul. Give me a break. Maleficent is evil. That's the whole point. Her name is Maleficent. She's evil. That's the point. She's supposed to just be evil. She cursed a baby to be petty, not because the father was some evil, psychopathic, power-hungry douchebag. Like, really? Really? Are you turning Aurora's father into the villain? Just, ugh. That was dumb. And that is probably that and Beauty and the Beast are definitely peak examples on why you should just leave classics alone. Now, on the flip side, I mentioned Cinderella. Cinderella, I mean, a lot of those older Disney movies were a lot more simple. And I think that there's potential to go back with them and retell them with a different spin on it, and to have and to improve them. I mean, there's a lot more that you can do now, since it's not, the 40s and the 50s. So I thought, when you take something like Cinderella and you actually give the prince more character, you actually do make a very different movie. It's still basically the same thing, and it keeps a lot of the same things in it, but changing up a few things, updating a few things, making the focus, giving the prince more character. And while While Cinderella may not have as much of a focus, and some people felt like she didn't have as much character, the fact that we get to see the prince and have a significant other character surrounding him with more character does, I think, warrant making a new movie. it's a different experience. You're not simply repeating it. And it does give the prince, who was fairly bland in the original movie, more character. And you can do stuff like this, and I think that this stuff mostly goes for older movies. When you have more modern movies, modern like Disney movies, anything from like if you take something like The Little Mermaid, or Tarzan, or Lilo and Stitch, what would you gain by making it live action? There's really not much, and I think that this is something that should be done on an by movie basis. It shouldn't be just remake everything. Let's remake Mulan, but take out the songs. And Shang. And make it significantly worse. And honestly, I don't have any hope for the live action Mulan remake they're talking about. And this is what I'm talking. But this is what I'm talking about. Their Mulan doesn't need to be remade. It's already a fantastic movie. It's a classic movie. A lot of people who grew up in the 90s, myself included, absolutely adore Mulan. Mulan is one of the most popular characters in Disney. So many people love Mulan, and the movie in and of itself is already great. There's nothing you can really do that would make it significantly better by making it live action. And ultimately, one of the biggest problems that come here, and why a lot of people just say, don't do it, which I totally understand, is that this is all just cash grabs for Disney. They are taking some of the most popular movies, Beauty and the Beast, Mulan, Cinderella, Sleeping Beauty, and remaking them with live action to make money. And if the only goal there is to simply make money at the expense of any sort of creativity, there's no point. People will look at them all the new Beauty and the Beast movie is going to do is remind people how much they love the original, and people who watch that one first will go back to the original one and go, wow, this is better. Or people who watch Maleficent go back to the original Sleeping Beauty and go, wow, Maleficent changed a lot. And I'm certain that anyone who didn't experience them in their childhood or before seeing the live action remakes, with stuff like Beauty and the Beast, will basically end up saying that the original was superior. Unless, of course, they're the kind of people who defend the first thing they watch, regardless of the quality, but that's neither here nor there. But Disney just wants to make money off of this. That's why they would do Mulan. We're talking about doing Mulan, because Mulan is a very popular movie. But it's already an amazing movie anyway, and there's nothing you can really change. There's no change in focus. There's no additions really that you can do. It's like I said, Beauty and the Beast. Sure, you can make little changes here and there. But is that really worth remaking an already great movie? No. And that again is a problem with stuff like RoboCop that got remade, and Total Recall. It's like these are already classic movies. And sure, you could improve them, but they weren't caring about improving them. They were just wanting to make money off of an already existing brand. And that really, if the goal here is just to make money by taking advantage of people's generally nostalgia or brand recognition, don't do it. Just don't. You're not going to make a good movie if all you're trying to do is capitalize on people's nostalgia. But if you legitimately want to make a good movie, if you think there's a lot, especially with older movies, if there's something that you could redo and do it better, you can take advantage of technology. You can take advantage of, the decades that all the decades that we've learned new things. You can actually improve stuff, and I'm fully supportive of good remakes. And not going to lie, I was actually excited for Total Recall at first, because I thought, oh wow, we can actually get a more because, you know, it's like, I thought, because the original Total Recall had some stuff that's always bugged me, even as a kid. Like, especially when he pulls that giant, like, tracker out of his nose, and it's like, it's almost as big as, it's like, you know, a ping pong ball size, and he pulls it through his nose. I was like, what? Even as a kid. So yeah, if you make a movie better, I'm totally for that. But they oftentimes don't. And that's really the sad part. And it gives these remakes a bad name. It makes people totally averse to them. So if they see a movie from the past that's being remade, it's more of a, not again. Instead of a, oh, I hope they do well with it. Simply because most all of them are just cash grabs. And unfortunately, Disney is doing that too. But I do hope that, you know, we do get good remakes, and we get them occasionally, like the 2003 Italian Job movie, because holy crap, I've tried to watch the original, I got bored to tears. But yeah, I mean, a good remake, even if it's totally reimagining it, can do wonders in making a better movie, or making a good movie. But if there's no heart and soul in it, and there's no aim to be creative and to make a better product, then it's not going to be good, and you should do it. Well, I think that's about it for this week. If you want to submit a topic, just make sure to, if you're on Tumblr, make sure to send me an ask and do topic : then whatever topic you want me to talk about. Or if you're on YouTube, simply comment below. Just make sure to follow the rules that I'll be posting down below on both Tumblr and YouTube. If you want to watch last week's topic video, you can check that out here. If you want to watch next week's topic video, you can check that out here when I get that done. And thank you for watching.